Right, now if we just move on to some of the work that is actually over on the table just at the back of the room there, presented into the creative poll for this for today's competition, if you like. What were your views on the quality of the work that you saw a few weeks ago?
I thought it was mixed. I thought some of it was very good. One of the things that interested me was within some portfolios why some of the work was, I thought, really outstanding, and some of it was okay. I don't think there was anything bad. But I think there were some really good pieces, and some of the portfolios were really quite mixed. It was quite interesting looking at the range of work. But again, you get back to this thing of you cannot ignore what it was the clients were asking for. And I'm sure that often that work was exactly what the client asked for, and the clients would have been delighted with it, otherwise it wouldn't have been there. So I thought it was mixed, but I thought where it was good, some of the stuff was really, really good. So no, I think the standard was maintained again this year.
Paul?
Yeah, I would echo those views. I think a fairly mixed bag, but there were half a dozen pieces that really stood out. Some stunning design there, so we'll get to that later on. I don't want to steal your thunder, but there were some real fantastic pieces of design work in there. And yeah, important, obviously we didn't get to see the brief in detail. We don't know what the client was asking, we don't know how the client was forcing change through that process, or how much the client influenced the outcome, but from what we could see, there was certainly some cracking pieces of work in there.
Mark, I know there's one particular piece that really did grab your attention, and it is on the table over there.
I was hoping you weren't going to ask any questions like this. Well, David actually preempted this question earlier, and I agree with the view he kind of started to put forward then, which he will no doubt do in a minute, which was, it just I felt the work on the whole was kind of quite safe, to be honest. I thought there was, generally speaking, a lack of experimentation, and there's not much risk-taking on the whole. And for me, it felt kind of like a sign of the times. I was surprised that, because you were allowed to submit a portfolio, I would have expected to see more work that was kind of a bit edgier and experimental, taking risks. And I think I would also expect to see more online work there, because I think online does give you that platform to be able to kind of not have to wholeheartedly commit yourself. When you're on a website, you've got the opportunity to kind of maybe take a broad brush view on it and maybe play safe with the site as a whole, but put content on it that's rich content that maybe takes a few more risks. So I would have expected to see more work that did take risks and was online. But the one piece for me that did do that was the Studio LR piece, which was it is on the back table there, and it's a book of barcodes. I think it's for an art exhibition actually, so maybe that did help. But for me, that was a really, really interesting piece of design, and it was the one piece that did stand out and did look like it was taking a few risks.
Yeah. David, what's your views on the work you saw?
Well, Mark's right. I do agree with most of what he said, because I said it to him yesterday. So it's good to hear what I thought again. Thanks. Yeah, all apart from, yeah, okay, fine. No, I think I think there are some nice pieces, obviously, and clearly you can only do what you can do with the budget and the brief that's in front of you. But I don't think that's an excuse for design companies themselves, even doing some work for smaller clients that you can tend to do better work for, or even for themselves, where I didn't really see many examples of self-publicity where obviously you could stretch and be a bit more creative. So I'm being honest, I was a bit disappointed. I didn't think there was any kind of revolutionary typography or particular finishes that I'd not really seen before. So I was a little bit disappointed, but as I said earlier on, we're operating in difficult times and clients are not really taking risks, so hopefully that will change in the future.
Thank you very much, David. Right, well, I think that's pretty much about it. I can see you're all gagging to get into your lunch. So I would just like to thank the panel for coming up here and giving you their thoughts on the Commonwealth logo and the work that they saw. Don't worry, we're not going to subject it to any singing or anything like that, although the musical instruments are there. But I'd just like to thank Chris, Paul, Mark and David for coming along and being with us today. today. As Paul said, there is going to be some work over the back of the room, so if you want to have a look at the work that's in the running for today's creative poll, it's all over the back. It will be up on the screen later when we run through the creative poll part of the review. But until later, I'd just like to thank the panel. If you could just join me in thanking them. And we'll see you later on. Thank you.